a bench on a little island, I call the island. Literally, I've got a huge target, a huge anomaly in front of me, and it looked like a pair of arms. Classic sonar image of someone laying on their side with their arms out and the head jutting out at the top. I said, right, I think I've found her, to my team. Right, turn around, go and scan the area again. So we went back up, we got exactly the same picture again. So I said, right, I need to look at these images and stop the boat. So we stopped the boat, and I'm going through these imagery, looking at them, doing some measurements. I said, right, I'll call the police, we need to put a diver in. And straight away, I think this is her. So what we did, I rang the police, sent them the image. I said, I think I may have found her. It's a clear image to me, looks like a pair of arms and legs. We need to put a diver. You're not to dive. It was very clear. You are not to dive. We will dive. I will get our divers to search the area. So, okay, that's fair comment. Your operation, you can dive. How long will they be? Will it be a couple of hours? So she's going to be here. So anyway, we then got the police came in. We carried on upstream to take the interest away from the media.
You didn't decide to take any photographs like all these photographs you've got here? You're not to dive, but you could have used your cameras. You could have stayed on the site, used your cameras, made sure. You thought you'd just fuck off for a bit.
Because they said, what's going on? I said, oh no, the police divers are just doing a dive, and we didn't let on that was the...
Oh no, that's when the police divers actually turned up, you fucked off. Yeah, the police are doing a dive, you don't want you'll be a distraction. The police told you to fuck off. Yeah? So what were you doing in between that time? How come you've got these pictures of this crystal clear water?
Any operational information that I had, so I'm not going to tell that to the media. So then we carried on up the river.
Told everything else to the fucking media though, no?
And got a phone
to the point where the police got so cross with you, they told you to stop talking to the media, and then they put it in their report at the end that you were bad for talking to the media all the time.
A call from my dive supervisor to say there's nothing there.
What do you mean he's dive supervisor? Your dive supervisor? The police told you because they did the dive. It was on video. Typing.
And I looked to my team and said, what do you mean nothing? There's got to be something, because a sonar image, if you imagine a standing with your back to the sun, there's a shadow cast. If you do this in the sun, put your arms out, you will see a big shadow of your arms and heads and legs. A sonar does exactly the same. It has to have an object to create a shadow. There will be no shadow or shape of an object for nothing to be there. So they said there's nothing, so they must be in the wrong area. Later on that afternoon, we finished our
What Peter means is a sonar image shows a continuous acoustic shadow. That's what he means to say.
Before I finished, I said, take me back down to the bottom and we'll rescan the area again. I've got a few more images. The target is still there. I said to my team, this isn't nothing. There's
something there. You think it's her. The police have already dived it. They found nothing. And you think you should probably just leave her there then? So sure you are that it's her? Don't even take a photograph.
Thing there.
On February 7th,
This is all edited, this. So this is the sonar look that he's talking about. This is the sonar. I mean, I'm going to do this on Super Juffer, aren't I? But I'm just quickly giving an overview here now of how bollocks it is. We've already seen this. That irregular shape there. The limbs are not proportionate to a human. They're broader and more angular than arms or legs. The main body area does not have a clear torso to head outline. In the recreation that he's about to do, the person has a distinct rounded limb. Side scan sonar rarely produces such crisp limb-like shadows underwater because soft tissues collapse and sediment usually buries part of a body.
This image was provided to police at 10:53 a.m. Just a few hours later, around 1:20 p.m.
So, I think that's alright if I say these sort of things, isn't it? Fuck this guy and fuck this bollocks again.
Quite deep water in the middle there, you can see that. You can see remnants of a large tree. There's the tree clearly in the just on the left side there. There we go, and we're going to roll down the river. Now we start to see a rough bottom coming in, an interesting area of for a body, to get past certain rough areas can be a challenge sometimes. To look at the right side, the starboard. So this is the side the bank is. We're just going straight down towards what I call the island, and you can see all the stones laying on the bottom. That's how accurate this particular side scan sonar is. It's extremely powerful. It's 1800 kilohertz, the most powerful.
You don't know they're stones.
You can buy for looking for human remains. Now, you'll now start to see at the top of the screen a target coming through, which does look like human form. If you look at it now, we'll let it roll. That is what I was looking for. So bearing in mind we pinged this target in the morning, I've come down the screen.
So if that's her body, and you're saying there's an island there, and there's like a little bit of tree growth on there, where's the island and the tree growth? Where's the island and the tree growth? It's pretty big in some parts for a body, and it's pretty small in other parts for a body, and there's no head and there's no arms. How come she's not in the sediment? How come she's not in the sediment? How come the angle of this shadow is so sharp? Why doesn't she appear like a human body would on one of these sonar things? For example, the arms and legs are too elongated and thin relative to the central mass. There's no consistent head-torso-limb ratio. The outline looks irregular and more like sediment or debris. The side-scan sonar produces pareidolia. Human brains tend to perceive familiar shapes in otherwise random shadows. Real human remains on sonar appear as smaller, smoother and more compact shapes, often lacking distinct limb projections because of clothing, decomposition or sediment cover.
I'm going to let it roll slightly more down.
It's anatomically inaccurate for a human body. It's far more likely to be a piece of debris, rock or sediment, casting a suggestive shadow.
And you can see there's a sort of a sand.
You could probably put a camera down to have a look.
Length there. There we go. Now, I'm going to talk you through this. What we've got here is I can see a large shadow. So if there was nothing there, it would be an absolute impossibility to get a shadow that looks like a pair of arms to the left side there. The actual target I'm going to highlight to you in a second. What I went straight to the magnifier whilst I was sonaring, and now I'm just going to run this over slowly. You can see the bottom here, bent legs. I'm going to
Dogs. Clouds look like dogs.
Run up the back. You've got the head at the top.
That doesn't look like a head at the top. Not if that's legs. Not proportionally.
And then you've got a shoulder and an arm on one side.
Not really. No, you're grasping now. Now if I pause it there without the legs, it doesn't look as convincing.
Now if you run to the left a bit, the shadow, like I said, it creates a shadow. What we've got here, it's running along.
Look at this shit. Look at this. Is that Peter lying on the ground there?
Body. And now we've got a head in the middle. And we've
So would her arms be upright like that?
got two arms sticking out.
Yeah. And you have gone past in your boat and you can't see her in the water like that. Seems like fucking bollocks to me.
You can't miss it. It's very...
You wouldn't miss it. Look at this one. He's there doing like puppet theatre. The shadow on the left has a sharp angle to it. The shadow on the left has a sharp angle. I'm getting this out of my system now when I'm cross, because if I do it on Super Chuff, I want to have fun. Sharp angle. Show me your sharp angle there, Peter. I think it's nigh on impossible for this sharp angle. It's not a human form.
very, very close.
On side scan sonar, it rarely produces such crisp limb-like shadows underwater because soft tissues collapse and sediment usually buries part of a body. You're lying on the flat surface of the ground. She wouldn't be lying on the flat surface of the ground.
And to make it even better, just to give you an idea, I'm going to remove the port side channel. I'm now going to, starboard side channel. I'm going to go to the port side. I'm going to wind it back slightly.
If that's her body, yeah? If that's her body, that lighter colour, what's all this stuff? It appears to be attached as well. That's all part of the same thing, yeah? It's far too long to be an arm. It's coming out of her head, you say. Like, it's not her hair. What's all this stuff? I think that just looks a little bit like some legs if you're grasping. Like a cloud might look like a dog. And I think that's enough for Peter, because his entire reputation and livelihood staking on the idea that she was in the river, because she was found in the river and he didn't find her. So he needs to prove that he was right and that they stitched him up. Because in the IOPC report it said Peter Faulding submitted this, we showed it to an expert, and the expert said it was bollocks, and Peter Faulding is wasting everyone's time, and Peter Faulding's credibility was in the bin. So Peter Faulding is sat at home with his credibility in the bin, completely in the bin. And that's important because he's got a mortgage to pay, a business to run, contracts to win. He does a private company job for money. So Peter Faulding is sat there, in my opinion, oosh, and he's had to go through his sonar. This is what he said he's done. Like, this is weird. He's saying this now. He's saying that at the time he thought it was so definitely her. Like, this is so inconsistent.
But it all boils back to you relaying the target information doesn't it?
I was baffled. We did not get an opportunity to clear that. So I'm assuming I'm wrong. And it's only when I got up later on towards the inquest, when I started to prepare my files, thinking I just need to take these images out of my computer to start looking. And it's all time date stamped when I'm doing it. And it was crystal clear. And I could see a lane there. That's when I started enhancing the images and looking at them. And
that's when you started thinking, I have got something here.
This is... And then I didn't get invited to the inquest, and then I got very angry.
Because didn't he say in the old one that he didn't look at this until he got home, and then later realised that it was her on the footage? He got home, and then later on he realised it was her. I thought he said that. I'll have to check through and see that. But he's so desperate and so necessary for Peter Faulding. You're in trouble because your job was to find Nicola Bulley in the river, and you've gone up and down with your sonar and you haven't found her. Now she's turned up. They're all giving you shit. You're going to be in loads of trouble. You've got this sonar footage, and that's it. So you're going to find something in that sonar footage that exonerates you, or you're going to lose your house. So you might as well fucking find something. I don't think he did find something. I don't think it is something.
Hello, this is Editing Scott. I think I'm about to say, or have just said, something quite hyperbolic about Peter Faulding losing his house and his mortgage if he doesn't have these contracts to find dead bodies in the river. And Peter Faulding himself will say that he's got other business interests, and I'll agree with that. So I was being a bit hyperbolic. Editing Scott is here to correct that and to make it clear that I don't think he's going to entirely lose his house and his mortgage and everything if he doesn't manage to find and maintain the contracts for finding bodies in the river. Let's hear from Peter Faulding.
Obviously, the College of Police's report against me is extremely defamatory because it's completely misleading, whereas mine is full of fact. Personally, it's not affected my business, only the diving side, which we never made any money on anyway. So that wasn't profitable. That was a service to the public which we provided. So it's had a huge impact on.
Peter Faulding tells us it's not affected his business. I personally am surprised he's been running a business that's not profitable in that sector. Maybe it's not profitable because he needs more contracts. I don't know. But I thought the point of running the business privately was to be profitable. I didn't realise it was a charity. It's not a charity. You know, he might offer his services and whatever, but I'm surprised that was considered to be a non-profit making arm of his business. Not a non-profit as in a charity, but, you know, simply not concerned with it turning a profit. That's a bit weird.
That was a service to the public which we provided. So it's had a huge impact on the families now left without a diet.
This isn't the point where he was making earlier where he said it's not, you know, it's something to do with his mortgage and stuff. And he tries to turn this like, if you've been attacking Peter Faulding, you've hurt the families, which is absolute stupid savagery. Like using now these poor grieving families as a leverage, a political leverage, so that you can't critique him.
I think if you look at that shadow there, there's something sticking out of it there. That's a little bump there, and that's a very sharp, these are sharp angles. I don't think that that's what happens when you're lying down on the floor with your shadow, Peter Faulding. I don't think your recreation of that's very accurate. I don't think they're similar at all, really. I mean, you can make a puppet. I can make a man and an Eiffel Tower out of shadow puppets. I think that's what you're doing. but not a very good job of it. It doesn't accurately match. No. The arms would have to be really long, and the legs, and it's not. What's that thing sticking out? And how come there's so many angles? Where's her head? No. And this is just nonsense. This looks stupid. This does. What you're doing there, that looks stupid.
Make it even better, just to give you an idea, I'm going to remove the port side channel. I'm now going to, starboard side channel. I'm going to go to the port side. I'm going to wind it back slightly, get it center screen. And now we can do that again. We can actually put a magnifier
dragging my soul
there you go.
on to see if I can find a body in the river.
Running up the
Later
back,
on I'll do some TV
up to the head.
interviews, bigger,
There'll be people say, "Oh, this isn't a photo. This is a sonar image." Please,
to see if I can body in
it's a
the
sonar
river.
picture.
Later on
So
I'll
remember
do
that.
some
I know this is
TV
graphic to some
interviews,
people,
bigger,
and I apologise for that, but this
If
imagery
only I
you're seeing
wasn't
now has
such
never
a
been seen
creepy
by
geezer,
anybody apart from
I
what's
would
being
have
done now.
been
The
seen
only
as a
person who
jet.
has this
But
data
when I
is
open
me,
up my mouth,
and the College of
I
Policing
leave them
never
in the dark.
asked
I know
for this data
cops
to
are
show
the
to their
ones I
experts.
know.
They made a simple judgment of a PDF image. Now, I'm an expert
Oh,
at this.
off
I
out digging
cannot
up some
tell you
deposition
without
sites to
measuring
see
and
if I can
doing
find them
other
like my
things with
lungs.
this.
Later on I'll do some
It took
TV
human
interviews,
Not,
bigger,
they said in the statement that
There's the island. You can see. I mean, if you hadn't circled it in red, you'd have a better chance of seeing through to the bottom. But apparently, she's right there. You can see to the bottom of the sandbar here on this image. You can't see her there. You can see where there's the foliage and the then and all that. And like, if that's on the scanner, which it is, then where else is there for what else is there? It seems so fucking stupid to be suggesting now that because it looks a bit like some legs, that's it. And some people will always believe that the world is flat. Whatever, won't they? Like, people will believe any sort of conspiracy shit. This is now a conspiracy theory. That's what this is. This is now just a conspiracy theory. Bear in mind, he runs a private company that specialises in finding bodies, and he's just failed to find a body in the high-profile case, and then the body's turned up later. So he can either say, yes, she was in the river the whole time, and I didn't find her. That's bad, because now he hasn't got any money. They won't give him any more contracts. He's not a good body finder. Or he can say, no, she wasn't in the river. That's why I didn't find her. That's what he said originally. He said she's not in the river. I've had a really good look. He was lying at the time because he had seen her and he thought he knew she was in there and he'd called the police and so. Or maybe he wasn't lying. Maybe, sorry, in my opinion, allegedly, maybe it was because he said, if she was in the river, I would have found her. She's categorically not in the river. I think he was categoric with his dismissal of her not being in the river. He said he'd done a good job. So he's got that problem. But the fact is that if she was in the river, which at the end of it all, with the inquest and everything, they've said that she's been found in the river at the end. So you now have to prove that she was in the river, or you lose everything. It's not a question of whether she was or she wasn't anymore. She's turned up in the river now, and you've been searching and you didn't find her. So either tell the world that she was put in the river later, and you can prove that, or you want to try and prove that, or you want to stick by your guns and say she wasn't in the river, stick by your guns. Doesn't matter about your contracts, doesn't matter about the police, stick by your guns, tell the truth. Or, because everyone says he's such an honest guy, such a truthful man, such a St. Peter, why doesn't he stick by his original story then? Well, he's changing it all the time now. More things are coming out. 2 years later, he's changing it, in my opinion. I thought that he said that he had to look through this footage later
And it's only when I got up later on towards the inquest when I started to prepare my files, thinking I just need to take these images out of my computer to start looking. And it's all time date stamped when I'm doing it. And it was crystal clear. And I could see her laying there. And that's when I started enhancing the images and looking at them.
To confirm that it was her after all the events, not on the same day, not, you know, confirming it, but I do concede that he thought he saw a target on the day, and he told the police to dive it, and they did dive it, and they didn't find anything. And Peter Faulding is now accusing the police, right, the diving team, of going in the water. Did they encounter the body or did they miss it? Because it's very specific and it's a small area. And we saw them in the water in that area. So going in the water and rubbing up against her body and touching it, and then thinking, should we just leave this down here? For whatever reason. That's Peter's go. He's saying that's happened. Which is kind of even more serious, isn't it, than going past it on your boat and thinking it's a woman and it's not. But I don't need to find sonar images for comparison. Kelly's already done that, and I've seen them, and I know what bodies look like, yeah. And I don't want to show other people's dead bodies. No. I don't need more sonar images for comparison, I don't think, but that's other people's dead bodies. I don't really fancy showing them. But I know that they don't look like that. You can fool some of the people all of the time, and all the people some of the time, but you can't fool me with this shit. I won't eat it. You'd like to see them. Oh, for fuck's sake. Like, it's not too bad, because it's just like, you know, it's not like, oh, Scott's showing a dead body. But sonar images of, I mean, it might be for Twitch. Oh, they'll do me a thing. Do you remember when Alan did it? Do you remember Alan did it? What happened with Alan? What he did was he took some pictures of sonar images of bodies, and he put them on a TikTok and pretended they were Nicola. Do you remember that? And he got millions of views. That's what they look like there. There's no way you're going to get me on Twitch banned for this, because look, it's just very difficult to see what it is. But it does look like a human form. It's more soft, it's more round. You're not going to get the angular shadow. You get a much more dense shadow as well, like a very clear, solid, dense shadow. It creates different shapes, like he's saying, depending on how the body is laying. But they're smaller, softer shapes. They're definitely smaller, softer shapes. They definitely don't look like what Peter Faulding is telling a series of body.
Long body, and then
That there.
now we've got a head in the middle, and we've got two arms sticking out.
Something is casting that shadow, no doubt about that. I think it's a green plastic chair that the police removed from the river after they searched this area.
You can't miss it. It's very, very, very clear. To make it even better, just to give you an idea, I'm going to remove the port side channel. I'm now going to, starboard side channel. I'm going to go onto the port side. I'm going to wind it.
I think that's what that is there. I think that shape is the two front legs of a green plastic chair, and that piece there is the back of it there. I think that's like more of a cube shape of an item, like with the angles on it. You can almost see the angles on it. Like, if you weren't looking for a body and someone told you this was something else and you'd had to squint and see it, you'd squint and see something else. It's just your brain, like, you know. If I told you that was a big dog with a dog's face there, and that's the head of the dog and these are the front paws of the dog, you'd say, oh, it's a dog, it's got a bit of a big buttocks, but it's a dog. I mean, that's not even a woman's buttocks. It sticks out there, doesn't it? It sticks out more, that does. Like, that can't be her buttocks, and she can't be that skinny in the rib, like the rib cage and then her waist like that. No one's waist is that skinny compared to their legs and ribs, is it? And she was supposed to be wearing a long green gilet and some Wellington boots, and, like, it's not a fucking human being. That's not a human being down there. The search and rescue people, on the day she went missing, went in here at the bench. They had a little boat like Peter. They had underwater cameras. They had several different people walking around. The river was only up to their fucking waist, so they had no problem walking in it as well as running the little boat. And they ran up and down that with that, the search and rescue, not the body recovery, the search and rescue. looking for someone in the water in case they might, try and rescue them. And apparently they missed her. She was only between there and there. It's tidal, it goes back and forth. She can't go over the weir and come back and forth. She was only between there and there for a time of about... Peter's there a week later. So she spent a week in that stretch of river, just at that little island, with the police by this point after the week, the search and rescue, the sniffer dogs. Now it's after the week, and by the time Peter's got there, now the media and the press are there taking photographs. It seems so unlikely that it's so to the point where even Peter Faulding himself went past there and scanned it and wasn't certain it was a body, to the point where he's not certain, is he? He's not like the search is over. If the police told him they dived it and they didn't come up with a body, why wasn't he like, well, get back in there, lads, it's fucking definitely a body, I'll show you, I'll get in there, I'll prove it. Can't leave her in there. Doesn't matter if he's got any permission, does it, after they've been in and out already? He could have, he could thought up a reason. Could have stuck his GoPro on a stick down there. They did stick a GoPro on a stick down there, the search and rescue people. I'd love to see that. They've been up and down with cameras on sticks. I'd love to see that footage. There's too many problems with this that doesn't make any sense, isn't there? So that's what Peter Faulding's side is now.
25 metres from the bench, where I've said, where you can see her clearly, the water has flowed up over the weir, and it's in the College and Policing report, can't remember the page, and it's flooded the top section of the river, so it's pushed, it's come in, it's picked her body up, she's slightly buoyant because she's decomposed, she's then been carried down the river.
Like miles down the river during a time period where people were still searching for her.
You remember the shallows I showed you earlier? Normally she wouldn't get past them, but now the river's probably risen by a few feet, and it's carried her body over during the night.
Someone waited for a high river
Over the weir, washed it into the lower section of the river, and that's where Jason Rothwell has now seen her.
We did
obviously
find it,
that's not his real name, Jason Dean Rothwell, is it? But
this is very important, as the Commissioner said in his opening comments, that nothing could have been done that we saw that would have led to Nicola's.
That I've been involved in the past.
Then they've got other people here. Who's this guy? Doesn't matter.
Was 75 metres from the bench.
Do we have anyone from America confirmed? Because I thought that Peter had got some confirmation that from America that his sonar was legit.
It's time to determine size of that object, so I could put a line on that and measure it.
Is this the guy? This is the guy who's going to pin his career on now. Like, you can get anyone on the internet to say it's good sonar, it's bad sonar. It doesn't matter. They had an inquest. The police looked at it. They put it onto Cambridge University independent expert because it was a judicial review of the evidence. They threw it out. So some dude on the internet, we're now doing conspiracy theories. We're now on the level of like Richard D. Hall, which is good sometimes, Richard D. Hall actually, but he's gone off his way a bit, hasn't he? Like, we're literally now doing like you can see what it's become of Peter Faulding and his work. Yeah, this isn't like truth, get it out there. Like, I don't know about this guy's podcast. I don't know if he realizes that he's broadcasting bollocks here, but it doesn't seem to be a good idea to be sharing this nonsense, in my opinion. But
of the vessel, in this case the boat. On the left and the right, you have your port and starboard sides of the sonar imagery. And then what I'm looking for at either side of this imagery is two things. One, I'm looking for distinct shadows. Nothing is popping for me at the moment. But the sound waves across the top of the screen and the green and the red there, in the event of a target being identified, there will be a flat spot. And that is a clear indication that there is something there which maybe shouldn't be, or something that...
Like, I need to know who this man is.
Quite frankly, you've made yourselves look stupid.
You look stupid sat in front of that Harley Davidson.
Because you're not experts.
Can
Because you're not experts. It's a fucking picture of a shadow. You're rolling around on the ground like that. How expert is this? Rolling around on the ground, taking your photo like that.
Sonar target be confidently and credibly identified by a PDF image alone, or does it require the live data with specialist software to identify?
It doesn't require either of those things, actually, smarty pants. What it requires to identify the target is an ROV or diver check is necessary for confirmation, because sonar evidence here does not indicate a body. And that's not the Ministry of whatever, that's me saying it. That's what stands up in court, though. This is so fucked. Like, did this guy do any research?
It positively.
In my opinion, it cannot be credibly
No, a PDF can't credibly identify a body.
warranted unless the live data has been provided.
So why are we proving that this is a body? Can sonar identify a body reliably, confidently in court? No. If you were knowledgeable about sonar, then you would know that an object like this, if you think it might be a body, would require investigation, an ROV or a diver check, which is why Peter called it in for a diver check. So no amount of, if it looks like a cloud and a dog looks like it's got feet, it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter, there was a diver check. So you've got to move on from this, and you've got to talk about why the police didn't find her in the diver check. And you're accusing the police of either negligence or deliberate. I mean, what are you saying here? And some people will be like, yeah, it's a police cover-up, yeah. So who's covering it up and for why? It's fine for it to be a police cover-up if you want it to be, but we've now got a clandestine cover-up in the police. For what reason? To make Peter Faulding look bad. We're going to fuck over a grieving family and fuck over our own police force. Because they were fucked over by this, the police force. They had to spend a lot of time and money and answering to the press and all the, people saying the things. They wanted all these problems, and they wanted to commit a horrific crime that if they were found out, like if that police search, I'm assuming they weighed her down now, yeah? Because if they'd left her there and she'd been found the next day by some kid poking around with a stick or some TikToker, there'd have been loads of trouble, wouldn't there? So they were pretty confident she's not going to pop back up. But yeah, they went down there, they left her down there, either through incompetence or deliberate negligence or whatever you want to say. These are terrible accusations. And for what reason, what motive have they got? To make Peter Faulding look bad so he can't get any more contracts around these parts. He was there a week late. It's fucking ridiculous. And not only that, they'd been down there searching before, so those people that searched before, they did their jobs wrong. Or they deliberately left her there as part of a cover-up. What are they covering up? For whom? On this chain of command, you've got the police divers, their commanders. You've got, I assume, you're going to include some of the search and rescue or the people that were there already searching because, they've been in the river. Those people are all willing to risk and lose their jobs to keep Nicola Bulley in the river. And later she turns up in the river anyway. So they didn't cover anything up because she was found, as far as they're concerned and their agencies, as far as the police are concerned, they said, we're searching for her in the river, we hope we find her. She later turns up in the river, she was in the river. That's what the police are saying. So what the fuck are they covering up? Oh, she was in the river earlier and we didn't get her out. Why not? We just wanted to leave it for weeks and weeks. As a cover-up. What are you covering up? I didn't want Peter Faulding to look good. No? It would have been you, the police, that got to pull her out of the river. Yeah, but Peter Faulding said he found her. We're saying that now. Better stop him. You're the police, can't you arrest him for something? Nah. Haven't thought of doing that. More likely just do a bad cover-up on him. Like, come on. It's just, this is shit.
Leaves us asking, was this a genuine technical assessment or a convenient way to downplay Faulding's evidence? And that's...
You idiot. The point is, if you bring us evidence that says there's a body in the water, and we assess it, and as you agree, a PDF is not good enough, it can't prove there's a body in the water, this does not look like a body, why didn't Peter Faulding do better evidence then? Why didn't he fucking take a photograph? I'm sorry, but if you do the best sonar job in the world, It doesn't prove that there's a body down there, because it would be inconclusive without a diver check. And there is the protocol to conduct a diver check. And they conducted...
Really the key point. Sonar is only as reliable as the expertise behind it.
No, it's not more reliable because you're more expert. It's equally reliable. It's a machine. The reliability of the expert is unreliable or more reliable. And Peter Faulding is not some fucking super genius out here, is he? He's a bloke that bought an expensive bit of kit. Like, for crying out loud.
It's not just about the equipment, but about the skill in
What about the skill of the police divers? What about the skill of the police fucking sonar? They drag theirs up and down as well.
interpreting the live feed and knowing what you're looking at. To explore that further,
So now Peter Faulding's the only one who's skilled enough to know that this is a body. But he also expects lay people to just look at it and go, oh, look, it looks a bit like a head there and that looks like a bum. So they're skilled enough as well. But the other expert, not skilled enough. It's not a question of skill. It's a question of quality of evidence. And you can then cross-check it with the other evidence, like the people got in the fucking water and had a good look.
ask Neil to talk about just how critical operator experience is when it comes to sonar searches and imagery.
That sounds like a load of fake propaganda to try and make it sound like Peter's done a good job. Get fucked.
The use of sonar in the UK in 1999, I brought it over from the States. And
So you've bought an expensive bit of kit. What makes you a better expert at this than me? Like, if I got in a boat and dragged this up and down a few times, am I going to be able to learn as much as you know? Like, you're not some fucking physicist. For crying out loud, Peter.
I literally pioneered its use, so I probably the leader in the field in the UK on
Because you bought one and no one else had bought one.
side scan sonar. I'm not talking about Navy, I'm talking about in forensic search. I was the first ever to use it for forensic search in the
Because no one else had one. It's expensive. And, I suppose at the time, experimental.
UK. And with all of my experience,
But now all the police have them.
that is without doubt the body of Nicola Bulley laying on the bottom.
Why? Because you bought the expensive sonar.
If
We
sonar
can all see the sonar. You dragged it. Now we can all see it. You don't make you some special fucking only oracle of fucking sonar. You expecting people to believe it based on what they can just see with their eyes without any expertise. That's the only leg you've got to stand on. Is the hope that the feckless goons that look at it go, oh, it looks a bit like a dog in that cloud, and they believe it. That's what you're expecting. Because the other experts, the rest of them, have already fucking poo-pooed this. Who is this Neil McDonough?
imagery or data is
Wait, we need to find out when he gets introduced, because I need to find out his credibility and his credence and who the fuck this is. Like, is he just some commentator?
She's slightly buoyant because she's decomposed. She's then been carried down the river. You remember the shallows I showed you earlier. Normally she wouldn't get past them, but now the river's probably...
And soon
sonar equipment.
his opening comment being found sooner.
So yeah, my name is Neil McDonough. I'm a scuba diving instructor, technical rescue specialist.
A scuba diving instructor first, a technical rescue specialist.
Water safety.
Okay, yeah, but what are your qualifications and where did you get them? And what agencies do you work for? Like,
Provider.
And are you being paid to do this? Are you friends with anyone who's friends with Peter Faulding?
And a side scan sonar operator also.
Right, you're a side scan. So are you independent? Like, do you work for some independent body, some overview body? Like, what was really good about what the police did is they used someone from Cambridge University, so it's from academia. Like, are you what?
I worked quite a lot with teams across the UK, including England, Wales, Scotland, with search and rescue teams, both voluntary, providing water safety support for search and
Right, well, Paul Arnott said he was a fucking mountain fucking climber. Like,
rescue operations for a number of years, and over recent years have stepped into the role of being a specialist sonar operator, operating side sonar equipment for
he's fucking a wannabe Faulding.
for the same teams.
what is your opinion on why Nicola was not found.
So he's got a vested interest in this, which is that should we put side-scan sonar in the hands of private individuals that have offered contracts from the police to do the job, or should we pay the police to do it and give the police the resources? That's a question. It's like privatisation of the police force. And some jobs are actually surprisingly farmed out to private companies, which I don't think should be happening. I think policing should be totally in the hands of police, right? Public police. So there's a question. He's on the same side as Peter Faulding. He's got an iron in the fire. He runs a private sonar company. He wants private sonar companies to succeed. He wants contracts to go out to private sonar companies. He wants the police to look bad so that private sonar companies could win the contracts. He's got a fucking vested interest.
Found immediately.
For me, time is critical. So it's about getting the right resource and the right mix of resource on scene with the right skills and technologies.
Right, and you're going to tell me that looks like Nicola Bulley down there then, and now I have to believe it, yeah?
And this is from the search for Nicola Bulley. Do you mind just walking us through?
I'm looking in the event of there's a real interest that there is something there stands out for us. Okay, so there is a real interesting shadow coming up at the moment. So if we can just pause the screen there, Doug, if you wouldn't mind, please. So on the left-hand side, or in this case, the port side of the vessel,
we know where you're looking.
there is quite a prolonged large shadow, which is an unusual shape. That isn't what I would naturally see with natural features. So, you know, tree branches or any kind of vegetation.
It doesn't look like a natural shape. Yeah, because it's fucking junk in the river, like a bit of an old plastic chair. The diver who undertook the dive was able to confirm the dive took place at 1:21 and the find was found to be tree branches underwater and therefore cleared as negative.
Would that be potentially a human body? Does it have representation of a human body? Am I seeing things like limbs? Am I seeing a human form?
Not in the shadow, you're not. And on that supposed form, not limbs, not arms. And below the knee, questionable as to whether there's even legs.
Quite possibly.
Quite possibly. What about how the backside is? Like like if you fished it out and put it on the bank, it would be some warped, like, do you know what I mean? It'd be like some distorted, like something out the fly, like with a huge rib cage and sticking out arse. Tiny little head.
Possibly. Obviously, now that we've got the live footage, it's really accurate.
I mean, this guy's on a podcast where they've got Peter Faulding himself on to prove his point, and the guy's saying, "Well, you know, what do you think? Like, is there any possibility that Neil might just like be on here to agree? Like, should you maybe get a panel of these experts? Is Neil the best one? I don't know. Like, I'm pretty confident I could find an expert to say it's not, because they got one to say it's not on the fucking COP report on the inquest. The police did it. Like, it's this guy versus the University of Cambridge expert. I trust the University of Cambridge expert more.
The software that would be available to me at this time.
And I trust my own eyes.
To determine size of that object, so I could put a line on that and measure it. If that matched the height of the individual which we were looking for, then it would quite possibly, almost undoubtedly.
So why has that not been done?
Be a credible target for me. The other thing I'm seeing, which is becoming more apparent, and unfortunately I don't have access to Zoom at the moment. I'm not sure if it's anything that you've got, but I'm seeing what would appear. I would zoom in and maybe change the frequency in the background color. But I'm seeing...
That's interesting, because Peter Faulding said changing the frequency made this easier to see. That's why he's changed. You know, he had to mess with the frequencies, didn't he? And then it all became clear to him. Well, this guy's saying the frequency's making it worse, so is the frequency distorting it?
Starting at the furthest south point,
it's Shadowland again.
Seeing a what looks like to be a buttocks heading up to a lower back.
Yeah, but if that's really a buttocks, have you ever seen a woman with jelly in the trunk like that?
Heading up to what looks to be almost a torso.
And if that's the size of her thigh there, the top of her thigh and like her butt, like you could literally do this in your hand, like the top of your thigh there and all that. And like Nikki was petite, like her thigh there and all that, yeah, is the same size as her chest and all this. It doesn't add up.
Head is very vague, but I'm maybe seeing the front of the head, which is coming to view for me at the moment.
Right, and where you see the front of the head, I don't, but yeah, I kind of, like, I guess what you're trying to say is her face is there, but the back of the head is that. Yeah, I get, like, but the back of the head is then, like, this is about depth and height, not about, like, she's wearing a little hat, it looks like. So, like, she hasn't got a full head, she's only got a slither of a head. Like, the top of the head doesn't exist. It's part of the sandbank. So now her head's buried in the sandbank, is it? Like, but her backside isn't, and none of her legs are. Also, if that's the top of the head and that's where it finishes, how come her face continues on up? Her face continues.
But then as I look more closely, and again, this is maybe where a colour palette change would be supportive.
Like, if he's going to be fair and he's going to be a good expert, he's going to have to say where it doesn't look like a body as well, yeah? He's going to have to point out the things that aren't consistent and conclude, as all experts would, that the only way to be right and proper about this is to conduct a dive or take underwater photography and ascertain what really is there, because it's inconclusive. And I don't want to have to keep beating this drum, but they dived it.
To define this even further, I'm seeing legs in almost a crouched or semi-crouched position. It would certainly, in my experience from recovering multiple bodies, it would certainly appear to take the shape of human form. But if we could possibly change the colour palette just to see if we could make that image stand out, fantastic. So this would be very simple.
That's even worse for me, because now I'm saying, look at her head. Like, what is all this? And how come her arms disappear to nothing? And they're so thin. Like, I can see why you can say it. Like, listen, I can understand why people look at that and think it looks like a person. But like, I feel like if we've gone up and down the river and looked at more sonar, I could find you a few of those. Well, maybe not because the shadow, you know, maybe not so many of them, but like, as much as it does, it doesn't. This down here as well, there's issues with that being there's real issues with that being a buttocks and back, isn't it?
To what I would be doing both on the boat and following the initial search. Again, there is the clear shadow, that the shadow's not removed. Fantastic.
And what about her head though? If that's her face, you're saying that's her head at the back. So why is her head the same as the thing behind it? Like, all this structure here is one thing I'm seeing. That's what I'm saying there. So how come her head, like, is attached to it in that way? You're saying it's in amongst the debris. It's got the debris all over it, like, you know, the sediments on it, but not a buttocks and not a leg. Well, yes, her leg, but like, but then her shadow doesn't look like this, because you saw Peter Faulding lying on the ground doing that with this thing, and he's lying on the ground. His head's not buried in anything. Like, it doesn't add up. It doesn't. It's not because I don't want it to. Like, wouldn't it be good if Nicola Bulley was found in the river? You know, and I could say Peter Faulding's bad because he just left her there. Like, as much as he says this and he says that, like, you know, and point some fingers and solve the case. I could just think, if you're looking for actual narratives and question the narrative and stuff like that, question Peter Faulding's bullshit. Question this, because it's bullshit.
But that form that I'm seeing, starting off where you are with the head and moving down the lower back at the moment onto the buttocks, and then moving around onto the thighs, and then down towards, not quite as visible.
Yeah, I can see what you're doing, but keep it up, carry on up the top, please. Like, you know, don't just get stuck on that. Like, have a broad picture view as well, and like, really tell me what you think, Mr. Expert. Come on.
but certainly apparent.
And that is not a buttocks. Come on, it's sticking out like a fucking bell.
What look to be the legs. Yeah, so it looks like the operator at the moment is doing an outline of what they are seeing.
And if that's her other leg, where's her other leg? Like,
so we are coming to the
and is she wearing a wellies or the gilet?
The front of the torso at the
How's she got such a thin waist?
moment, heading up to the arms. Again, not really as clear, but certainly
Not really as clear. Now we're drawing lines around what could be anything if you want. You know, just carry on as far as you want with the arms. Just do whatever.
something is outstretched, which would be indicative of the arms.
Not necessarily something is outstretched, is it?
And then leading up to what appears to be...
And then where'd you stop? And he's extended the face way beyond where I thought the face was. I thought that was the face there, that light bit.
The head.
And now it doesn't look like a human body anymore.
Exactly.
Like,
As
that is not anatomically correct for a human body. It's just not. It's like some weird statue.
As the operator has done there, it's the same standard practice that certainly I would utilise and my team would utilise.
I mean, how does it not look like a fucking great big tree branch? It's got two bits off it there, where the tree splits into two at the top. It's clearly got that, and then it goes down to there, and then it's got another splitter and a bit coming off. Like, it just looks like a big old tree branch. And in fact, like I say, I think it's one big tree branch with this is like a second thing on top of it. I don't think that there is exactly the same as the original structure that we're looking at. That really looks like a tree branch on top. It doesn't look like a head and arms. It looks like two boughs of a big tree branch. In fact, it looks exactly like that. And then if you remove that from the case and you just look at the legs and you say, okay, it looks a bit like some legs, but like, you know, disembodied legs. It just not enough actually. It looks like a big old bit of tree root or branch as well. And that could have been a split of a branch there. I think it's going to start to look more like tree branches now you're drawing the circle around it.
It's a credible target. As far as I'm concerned, I guess the next...
It's a credible target, I'll agree with that.
Steps in this would be that we would expect a subsurface team, maybe a diver, to go in and review this.
And why would you expect that? What would that do to the evidence? How would that affect whether this is credible evidence or not?
And again, confirm this target.
We're talking about the death of Nicola Bulley, like someone who everyone was looking for and, you know, cared about. And then they're saying that's her dead body in the river. And like, it's fucking not. If you look at it, as I'm saying, this top part here looks just like a tree branch. Like, it looks really like a tree branch. If you ignore that for a minute, you know, don't worry about how buttocksy it looks and how you're attracted by the buttocks and that leg. Oh, the leg's so shapely. Where's her boots? Where's the other leg? Anyway, forget that. Forget the leg for a minute. Just focus on that. Just do me that, you know, where they've outlined it. Her head and this arm are both equally same size, both thick cylinders, like two big bits of tree branch. And where they connect, it's like what a tree branch does. And I'm guessing that it comes down here and it was a big bit of tree. And it's just broken off in different ways. And I'm saying that even this bit here, like, you know, you think this is all one structure. He's just drawn lines around it and coloured it in so it looks like it's all one thing. But it might not be. You know, it could be something piled up on something else and, you know, a bit of something here that's... I don't see it. I don't see it. You'd have me if this looked like a fucking head. Like, you'd have me if it was not such a sticky out buttocks. Like she's not some naked glamour model. Like, there appears to be like a cut between the two there. I just. It's such a weird shame because, like, the legs look a bit like legs. But if you can't, like, if people can't resolve that in their mind, like, the legs look like legs, so the head, like, the two things don't, like, I don't mind if it all looks like a body, like the arms and the head, but the arms and the head don't. So as much as the legs look like legs, you need both things. And then the shadow that's cast is sharp and angular, not soft like a body. Don't need to go like, and then this, and then this, and then this. I just really feel that this is like the most damning evidence of all. Like, if you just like turn it upside down or, like, you know, close your eyes and open them again, does that really look like a body at the top there? No, it looks like the knuckle of a root of ginger.
I've got in front of me at this point in time, that certainly appears to take the form of a human.
And like I said, this podcast, bless them, like, they usually get quite a lot of views. This one has got 31,000 views, so it's not doing as well as their other stuff because people don't care, because they think he's talking bollocks. And it can't just be an argument of, does it look like oh, you think it looks like a woman, I don't, oh, well, you can each have your own opinion. It's not that. There's a protocol. They dived it. I've checked it. If it was, like, any expert in the world would say, it's not a conclusive image of a body. That's why the expert said, Peter can't tell you this is a body with this image. Like, you can't go around touting it, I found Nicola Bulley. You can't say that. Every expert in the world on sonar would know that even if it looks a lot like a body on the sonar, I mean, unless it's got a fucking sign that says, this is me, I'm the body, it might, and especially this sort of one, this one's not very conclusive, so it needs diving. Any expert would tell you about that. This guy didn't. Well, he did nearly, but, like, so you can't prove it's a body. You can claim it, you can have it as your opinion. All this I found her, it's bollocks. It's bollocks. If you wanted to have found her, you needed to put the camera down or got out the fucking boat and you didn't even have to get out of the boat, you could have reached down and grabbed her hand. You didn't find her. The police didn't try and stitch you up. It was some sticks. And because you look like a fucking Burke and you need your money, you need to try and prove this. Like, why does he need to prove this? He said he hadn't got an iron in the fire. You know, it's fucking commercial interest for him. Give it up. And if it's not that, if it's this other darker shit, you know, you're a fucking knob. You're a fucking knob.
Obviously a spring tide comes up over the weir, flooded the top section of the river, and they said when it flooded over the weir would have lifted.
Is he one of these people that has to be right all the time, you know? You have trouble when he's, you know, having an argument because he can't back down. I have to be right all the time. This can't even, like, the most, I tell you what's the most stupid thing about this is that he knows in his line of work that an inconclusive sonar scan is never going to be good enough evidence. So why are you trying to beat this drum and pretend that it is? It looks more like a dog, yes, it looks more like a dog to me. Like, the logic steps, this is the problem as well. It's like people are looking at it and go, it looks like a bit like legs. So how am I going to explain to them? I mean, it's not my job to explain to them. But the fact that it looks like some legs doesn't matter. It's like, It's like we say we've got a photograph of Bigfoot. No, wait, I'm trying to think of a good example. Like,
the example of Peter Faulding's sonar being an image that needs corroborating with a dive is very similar to having a scan on, I don't know, a lump or something, like very similar to having a scan for something, having something seen on a scan, and then you have to go back to the doctors and have a biopsy and then find out what it really is. You know, it's very similar to that, and no doctor would conduct an operation or a course of treatment just off a scan and seeing a shadow or a lump. You know, they'd do the full biopsy, wouldn't they? And no doctor would claim to know what that mass on the scan was before they'd done further biopsy. And I guess a lot of things turn out to be benign and not cancer.
Like, because the thing is that Peter Faulding knows this is inconclusive. Like, he knows you can't prove it with this sonar. Even if it is her, you still can't prove it with this sonar. Like, he knows that, yeah? It's like you've got a video camera. It's like Alan Shadows. It's like you've got a video camera that's out of focus. And you know that video camera's out of focus. Yeah? You can use the video camera to see if there's anyone moving about or what looks like a person. But you'll never use that video camera to prove anything in court. It doesn't make the video camera useless. The video camera can still see if there's like shapes. You know, it's like someone without their glasses on. You can still see shapes. You can still go around, you know, get something out of the fridge. But if you want to prove what's in the, like, if you open the fridge without your glasses on, you can't quite see what's in there. If you want to know if that's apple juice or tropical, you have to reach in and take it out and look at it close. Or you have to put your head right in and look at it. Or put your glasses on. In this case, none of that has been done. We all know you can't prove anything without your glasses on. So no one would go around saying, I can conclusively prove what was in the fridge without my glasses on. No one would say that. Especially not the person without the glasses, because they're an expert in their fucking vision. They know that they can't see things without their glasses. But when it comes to this, now it's really important. You could lose your job, your house, your livelihood, because you said there was apple juice in the fridge, or there was no apple juice in the fridge, or the police said there was apple juice in the fridge. I'm going to prove to you, look at this picture, this out of focus camera. Look at this picture, this view that I see with no glasses on. See this, the shadowy shape that we all agree we have to prove through further testing by either getting it in focus or taking it out of the fridge. I haven't got it in focus, I'm not taking it out of the fridge. You're just going to have to believe me it's apple juice because my fucking house depends on it.
Obviously, the College of Policing's report against me is extremely defamatory because it's completely misleading, whereas mine is full of fact. Personally, it's not affected my business, only the diving side, which we never made any money on anyway.
So I've got him saying he's got other interests there, business interests, and I said it, didn't I, out loud. I was being hyperbolic, and Peter Faulding isn't just reliant on that, and I don't want to do defamation on Peter Faulding by accident by suggesting how important this business interest was to him.
Show me the Sonar handbook that says you can conclusively prove it's a body without diving it. You should put your picture next to their example. You're not an expert on sonar if you think you can prove that that's a body without diving it. And you have to prove it's a body. There's so much doubt. It's already been dived. You go around in circles with this shit. Peter Faulding is espousing a conspiracy theory that the police went in the water and either were incompetent enough to miss her or deliberately covered it up. And he's not just saying that about the police, he's saying it about the search and rescue, the police sonar team, the police divers who specifically dived there. You know, he's saying it about specific agencies who worked in tandem to try and find her. Like, how disrespectful is that to all those people? Someone just needs to ask him this. Like, Luke's doing his questions. They'll never have me asking him this. Can you prove with your sonar that is a body, would normal sonar experts require there to be a dive? And he fucking knows he had to do it. So what do you want us to do? You're showing us evidence that you yourself would say cannot prove that it's Nicola. So you're asking us to take it on belief as lay people, and you're telling us that we can't understand this information on this sonar. We're not clever enough, we're lay people, you need to be an expert. And the experts say that it can't prove that it's a body. It might look like one, but it can't be proven. You'd have to dive it. So what do you want us to do? Take it on pure fucking faith? You're right all along, Peter. That's what he's asking. He's asking the audience to, he's trying to manipulate the audience into believing something that there isn't sufficient evidence for. And on the other side, there's quite heavy evidence that he's wrong. Because they dived it. And you had the search and rescue up there. The sniffer dog. The media. Like after the police dived it, the media were then able to go and take photographs. It's like it'll give you a headache if you allow these people to spin. But if you believe that, I've got a fucking swamp to sell you in Florida. It doesn't matter if you believe it or not. Like, it's not credible. Like, this is the thing. Peter's only got the public opinion, the court of public opinion now, because the grown-ups know this is not credible. So all he can hope for is to sell a few books and get a bit of, people power behind him, because he's not going to be working in fucking search. He's with these claims and this bollocks. He's not going to be working with the police, is he? I hope. It sounds like Peter Faulding's on like a slide downhill, like a desperate man. He thought he was going to go from Crime Con to Channel 5 to maybe Netflix and, be Big Peter, Big St. Peter. But it's gone down the shitter. He's on Surviving the Survivor and Luke's channel on YouTube. And he's destined to be the next, he's going to beat this drum for him. You're not going to have much else to say. And he's going to be like this crime conspiracy. It can only get worse for him, Dad. He's probably, if he's listening, should harness that. I'm giving him good advice here. Jump in both feet and be the next David Icke, you fucking knob. You're now a conspiracy theorist on... I've got no problem with this guy. I just don't know why he's giving him the time of day. It might work out that I end up not liking this guy, or I might think he's brilliant. But let's be real. You're on a small part of YouTube now, like a true crime. I don't know if this guy's into conspiracies generally, but you're a true crime conspiracy podcast guest. Not Joe Rogan. You're not on Joe Rogan. You're not getting on Joe Rogan with this. You've done your thing now. You've said your thing. That's it. Don't do a John Wedger and go around and around saying this to everyone. It's fucking boring. Even this guy that's watching it should know what I'm... Like, this guy that's doing that with his... he should understand what I'm saying. It doesn't hold water. You're being asked to believe that if you think it looks a bit like legs, then it's Nicola. But also, keep in mind, you don't know what you're looking at and you can't confirm it just by saying it looks like legs because you're a layperson. So get that stupid idea out your head as well, but also believe it's Nicola. And that would be fine, right? I tell you what, that would be fine if Peter Faulding was just a bystander. If fucking Luke had gone down there and gone around in the river and dragged some sonar, just some random fucking dude. Yeah, if he'd done that, it'd be more credible. Peter's got a vested interest. He's got financial interests. Everything is 2 years on. Resolutions have been made. People's beliefs have been determined. Peter hasn't got anything new here. This sonar imagery, okay, it's a video now, but they pause the video and show you the same pictures. There's nothing new here. We've got a new expert. In 2 years, we've managed to find Peter Faulding wannabe Neil McDonough to back him up. There's nothing new here. And it's a disgrace to her name. And, you know, who's doing the worst here to the family? Peter maintains this is her actual fucking dead body he's showing you on the fucking pictures. So important is it to clear his name that he'd tout around pictures of her dead body on the internet. So, yeah. It's pretty bad.